Well, welcome back. There are a lot of assumptions that millennials only live in the moment, and that might lead us to believe that they're not planning for a secure financial future. Joining us now with the results of a new Fidelity investment study is the Director of Young Investors, Kelly Lannan. Good morning, Kelly. How's it going?
Good morning, Katrina. Good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, happy to have you. Tell us a little bit more about this survey and what were the findings?
Yeah, so in this survey, we actually found a lot of positive things that millennials were doing in regards to managing their finances. And this may actually come to a surprise to some because there are a lot of misconceptions out there about this particular generation. And believe me, I personally get it a lot. Like, you millennials only live in the moment, or you millennials don't care about your future. And actually, our new research really debunked this. And we found that, yes, this is a group that cares about their current health and happiness, but they are very mindful about those future financial stability. Some of those things that jump to the top of that list in terms of their priorities are establishing an emergency fund and saving for their retirement. And in fact, 66% of millennials told us that saving for their future is just as gratifying as treating themselves today.
I think that's really heartwarming for a lot of people that think about the millennials. You know, I think they get a bad rap sometimes. Why did you guys focus on this group?
Yeah, and that's a good question because at Fidelity, we're really committed to helping people of all ages when it comes to the choices in regards to their money. And millennials are the largest generation in the U.S. workforce, and we understand that they are an important segment to the financial services industry. So for these reasons, among others, we really felt like this group was a natural fit for this research. And sometimes people think of Fidelity as a firm that only helps with their retirement and long-term savings. And you know what, that's great because that is what we do, and we're really proud of that, but we do offer so much more. We have tools for those young investors just starting out, tools that can help them establish a budget, pay down their student debt quicker, and even evaluate a future job opportunity.
Let's talk about those tools and the opportunities. What can they do to make their financial situation better?
Yeah, and this is actually an interesting question because we found that 50% of millennials do have some sort of investment account. However, less than 10% consider themselves to be an investor, that they really view themselves as savers. So although they are taking advantage of the opportunity of investing to help their money grow, they certainly do not see it that way. So partially it's a shift in mindset, but it's also about educating this group to understand the benefits of investing for their long term and for their future. In fact, a young adult who might have a 401k through their employer might not realize that through their account, they are actually investing, and they're investing in the long term.
Right, and I think it was important, especially when I was younger, to realize that investing early, even if you just did it for the first 8 years, you still were making more than some people that started investing later in life. Is that something you're really getting across?
Yeah, and that's a very important thing to know. We've actually found that someone who starts 10 years earlier with investing with the same amount of money can have double the amount of money at retirement, which is a very, very powerful thing. This allows you to take advantage of compounding as well as weather out any ebbs and flows of the stock market. So the earlier you start, the better. But the important thing, Katrina, is, especially for those who maybe haven't started yet and may be worried hearing that, is that it's never too late to get in the game. You just got to do it.
Right, and then how do you keep them on track? I mean, yes, you want to get into the game, but you've got to stay on track. How do you do that?
Yeah, and that's an important question. And we actually have 4 tips that I'm going to share with you. And the first tip is you want to set a goal. Think about your financial goals and create a plan to help you achieve it. Number 2 is practice mindful spending. I mean, we all live lives that align to our priorities and values, and if you think about it, that's how we should be spending our money as well. Fidelity's budgetary guidelines recommend about 30% of your paycheck can go to these discretionary expenses. So take a look at those dollars and really make sure you're spending them on the things that are making you happy. And number 3 is really important, and this is about setting boundaries. It's human nature to compare ourselves with peers and others, and this research actually showed that 20% of millennials contribute that fear of missing out, the FOMO, to occasional splurging. And digging even deeper, over 60% of millennials said social media had a very negative influence on their financial well-being. So, Katrina, I got to be honest with you, that FOMO, the FOMO is real.
Right.
And we get it. We understand why social media can be a distraction to other generations. I mean, given how connected we are, we're not just keeping up with our friends.
Right. They need to start doing more posts of, look, I'm saving. That's exactly what they should do.
Exactly. And honestly, it's like, yeah, and honestly, we're not just keeping up with our friends anymore. It's like we're keeping up with the celebrities. We're keeping up with the friends of friends and the random people we see on our Instagram feed. So it can be a hard thing to do. And last things last is never be afraid to ask for help, whether you're starting or you're veering off track.
Exactly. Kelly with Fidelity, thank you so much. Some great advice. We really appreciate it. All right, and up next.
Thank you, Katrina. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Go to Fidelity.com if you'd like some more tips and tricks to get your millennial on track, or even if you just want to get on track too and you're not a millennial.